Okay, yeah, so when I was still at Santa Cruz and I told you about that murder with that guard, that the guy who did it did get found out. There was a lot of snitching going on. I'm pretty sure there was consequences for that too, behind the snitching. But yeah, he got found out, he got life, and but so after he was discovered, the entire Arizona Department of Corrections was made aware of it, staff-wise, and they conjured up some little Ninja Turtle team, and they came to the whole Perryville complex and just did this real disrespectfully detailed room search and everything. They were making everybody accountable for that guard's death. They were basically putting all inmates into one basket and saying, you all did it. And so when they came over to our pod, on our building, our yard, I remember they came in each cell, strip searched us, made us put on boxers and socks only. I don't even think they let us put on flip-flops. I think it was just boxers and socks, and they made us all come out and stand up against, there was like a wall or something, if I can remember right. I just don't remember where the wall was, but they had us, in fact, it might have just been right outside of our cell door. They might have had us come out and just turn and face the wall outside your cell door. So I remember they had canine dogs over there too, and none of us could turn around. Like, they didn't want us turning around, they didn't want us talking, nothing. And so we were just standing there, and there was a guard like to my right, and he had the leash to one of the canines, and it was a big old dog, and he seemed interested in doing some biting, and so the dog kept kind of like jumping up a little bit, and he's on this leash, and then the guard says to another guard that's right there by him, he says that he should just let him go and let him bite this other inmate, because they made us have our hands like this. So our hands were like this. So he was talking about letting the dog bite another inmate from the back, but all right in here. He was just like talking about letting them just bite off into his whole side and where his lats are at and things like that. And I was just thinking, this don't make matters any better. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have nothing to do. That's a whole different complex or a whole different prison over there. We're at this prison, anyway, but it was just bad. It was bad for a while. It was taking a long time to feed us breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it was just a real condescending atmosphere from staff to inmate. It was just very condescending. And sometime later, then I got put over at the Brent Lumley Unit. They just call it Lumley Unit. I got put over there to Lumley Unit. And I guess that's how that story goes. And then once I was at Lumley Unit, I ended up becoming a barber. I was an inmate barber first, and once again I had access to all 4 buildings. I was able to go to all 4 buildings because each building have their own barber shop, and I was able to go to all 4, and I'd set up shop and cut whomever's hair, and they would pay, under the table. Inmates would pay these little coins, like either coins or these little bitty tickets that look like a raffle ticket or something, but they have value in prison. And so although you get paid an hourly rate, by the state, because you're holding a inmate job, the other inmates, to show appreciation that you went out of your way to give them a real nice haircut, they will pay you as well. Most of them will, not all of them. So anyway, I became the barber, and I'm walking all around the yard doing all these haircuts and whatnot. So it became well known pretty quickly that I know how to cut hair of all sorts of ethnicity, and I can do a real nice haircut. So all sorts of people started coming. So I had blacks, whites, Mexicans, natives, whoever, anybody that wanted to come get a haircut, I was getting after them, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and once again, it didn't matter to me if a person was in some clique, you know, one of those prison gangs, one that don't like black people. I didn't treat them no different. I didn't give them no botched up haircut or anything like that. I just still treated them like anybody else and hooked them up. And, you know, so if you're going to hate me, you know, you're going to look good hating me. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hate me and be handsome while you hate me, you know? So I remember this one inmate, he was also in the Aryan Brotherhood, and his last name was Ducey, D-U-C-I, and whenever he'd come for a haircut, he'd always have me cut his hair, and I'd trim his mustache and all that stuff, whatever. But one thing that was always weird, or not weird, awkward, one thing that was always awkward with Ducey is I'd shave his head bald. That's how he kept it. So I'd shave it all bald. But then when I would start shaving his mustache, the whole time I'm in front of him shaving his mustache, this dude is giving me direct eye contact. If I go over here, he's looking dead in my eyeball. If I go over here, he's looking dead in my eyeball. And then another thing that was awkward was the hair. As I'm trimming his mustache, before I can get a chance to use the wisp and brush it off, this dude done folded in his lips and licked it all off and swallowed it every single time. He swallowed it every time, making me itch a little bit. So anyway, he was in Aryan Brotherhood, and he was about to be leaving, and he was going to be leaving the next day from this subject that I'm discussing, and he wanted me to cut his hair. So absolutely, I said, yo, you know, I got you, I'll cut your hair, whatever. And so I start cutting his hair, and I finished the haircut, all that business, and then he gets up and he shakes my hand, tells me thank you and whatever, and he was my last cut for the day, that day. So he stood in there while I cleaned up the barbershop and got all my stuff together and whatever, and he just stood there and was talking to me, and he just started telling me how since he met me, I've been very nice. He told me, he said, man, Nebraska, you know, he was tripping about how much time I take cutting anybody's hair. Even, you know, some of his brothers, you know, the Aryan Brotherhood brothers, they would come there and get their haircuts too, and I'd hook them all up, whatever. And so he was talking about all that, and then he was just talking about how I'm the same way all the time, and I'm always smiling, I'm always speaking to people, whatever. And so he just told me, he said, man, he said, besides my mother, he said, you're the nicest person I've ever met. And I said, well, man, I really appreciate that, man. I said, that's a real good compliment. I said, for real, I take that to heart. He said, I mean it. He said, I learned a lot of lies about your people. He said, and you proved them to be wrong, you know. And I said, man, I really appreciate it. I said, that's a real good thing, you know, straight up. And there was another guy on that same yard. Yeah, on that same yard. I'll tell you about him later, but he said that almost the same exact thing. His name was Billy. He said the exact same thing just about. But so after Ducey said that I was the nicest person, you know, he knows next to his mom, I thanked him and all that. We shook hands and whatnot. And then he left out the barbershop. And in about 5 seconds, he came back in there. He said, you know what, Nebraska? He said, I just thought about it. He said, you are the nicest person I've ever met. He said, you're nicer than my mom. He said, I thought about it. So that was just real funny though. So, you know, to be in prison and, you know, among what you know, are considered, you know, when we're in there, we're considered to be the rejects of society. So when you're in there with some pretty, you know, tough faces and things like that, it feels good to get some genuine compliments from somebody who don't have no benefit to tell you this other than the fact that it might be true. You know what I'm saying? And so I appreciated. He shook my hand and looked me in my eyeball like he does. So, you know, I felt pretty good about the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let me see. Yeah, I'll bring up. I'll talk about some more stuff. So anyway, yeah, I'll do some more videos in a little bit. All right, peace.